All right, let's go. We are back in the luxurious executive suite. Let's Do Video Boardroom. We've cleaned the place up a little bit. There was an annoying plant that was in front of us that was blocking our views. A Photoshop friend helped me take care of that. But it's great to see you. Good to be back.
Yeah, likewise, David. Yeah, it seems for ages, doesn't it? I think we both took some downtime, didn't we?
Yeah, you were. Well, where did you go? Do you want to share your adventures with us?
Yeah, sure. I went to the south coast of the UK, one of the ones that isn't pumping raw sewage out into our waters and beaches. Yeah, there's a big, yeah, it is a literal big stink in the UK of how we're
Ugh.
polluting our beaches now. But I went to one of the unpolluted places where my rest of my family live and had a really nice time, sort of with my daughter, enjoying the sunshine on the beaches.
Wonderful. I also was a family vacation. My sister's family, she's got the kids. My wife, my parents, we all went to Cancun, and I haven't been on a real vacation, for a long time. When you own your own business, it's just there's always more to do, and you just feel this amazing guilt. But I forced myself, and I sat at the pool. And if you have temporary purple hair and you want to get rid of it, the Cancun sun. See, all my natural platinums have returned. um, but I had a great time, and it's good to be back. There's
Yeah,
a lot.
great.
The industry didn't stop while we were gone.
No, no, the wheel keeps turning.
The world does, and a quick rant. Talking about the world turning, there's been another development at Twitter X, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's like there are so many things I'd love to complain about. I'm still not over the blue check thing not working the way it should work, but they changed the algorithms again, and it affects the way I use it. For me, Twitter, I'm just going to call it Twitter, has always been where I share all my other stuff. It's not a great library to create content because you scroll it and it's gone. YouTube is my library. YouTube's a great library. I can make playlists and things there are evergreen. So I want to make my content on YouTube or on my website and then share it on Twitter. That's what Twitter was great at. And what Twitter is trying to do, which is the same thing LinkedIn does, by the way, but I think a little bit more aggressively, is they want you to put your content there. So if I put a short video on Twitter, that gets boosted. Everyone will see it. If I put a link to a YouTube on Twitter, it gets suppressed. No one sees it. So once this video once we're done recording here, what I should do is make a 30-second clip about this video to put on Twitter, and then in the reply to the comment of the Twitter, put the link to the actual YouTube video. I don't like to be a complainer, but this isn't working for me. I need a place that I could share my content.
We need a viable alternative. Threads needs to step up the mark a bit more, I think.
Something. I've been leaning
Anyway,
a lot more on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn kind of does the same thing. And then when I do what I just said, I do the 30-second video. People say, "Hey, I just saw your video, but it was only 30 seconds. Where's the whole video?" It's in the comments because otherwise LinkedIn will, it's a whole thing.
mhm.
But anyway, let's get into we have three big topics we want to talk about today. The first one is some new developments from Microsoft Teams. And I'm just kind of excited that this battle is hot. It's come down to a battle between Teams and Zoom, at least for talking about the video part of our workflow. And they are in rapid development. We've been very excited about Zoom's Intelligent Director. And lo and behold, Microsoft Teams announced a bunch of Intelligent Director-ish, I don't remember what they called it, they have a different name for it, but features, more intelligent zooming in of the people in the room, and the ability to use multiple cameras to give everyone their own little Brady Bunch box. So this is something that is definitely needed. Meeting equity. I'm actually giving a presentation in a few weeks at CD on meeting equity, so it is still a thing. What do you think? Is this show that they're getting it, or is this too little, too late, or is it catch
I
up?
think it's catch up. There's been a number of vendors that have already offered this, and also, of course, a number of hardware manufacturers that offer this as standard. Like, is it the Panacast? I think has that. The Panacast webcam has the ability for you to zoom in intelligently, and I think Cisco's webcam does as well. So there's hardware manufacturers that have already done this. There's software manufacturers that have already done this. This to me seems like catch up, or maybe it's just a step towards the multiple cameras in the room and front row, and the way in which, maybe it's just a tick box before something bigger. One thing that I've always thought about, David, is in the return to the office, whether or not companies will have multiple cameras, or will they just say, "Oh, just sit at your desk in the office," or there's got to be something compelling to bring people into a meeting room physically, and it's got to be more than intelligent cameras and unique feeds. So, what's the event that's going to bring people into the office? Because I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of people thinking we're going to spend, tens of thousands of dollars to equip all our meeting rooms with extra cameras. So I'll be interested to see what happens. I just hope it's not going to be a return to the bad old days of bowling alley sort of views and badly framed people and hideous audio. We're not tolerant of that anymore. We expect nicely framed video, good audio, because we've all been working remotely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
You bring. I feel like I should be taking notes, because you brought up two good points that I want to address. One is the return to the office, and the other is what the cameras are doing. Let me deal with the cameras first. I have my friends from Aver here all the time. Aver has a whole line of cameras, and they've added all this. They're smart cameras. Literally, they have computers in the cameras that do great framing. Some of them are by voice, and some of them are by detecting the people. I'm not sure how they all work, but they've put all this development into them. And is the result going to be that their partners, because they're Teams and Zoom certified, are just going to say, just turn that stuff off and let Teams take care of it. Just turn this stuff off and let Zoom take care of it. If that's the right way to do it, that's the way to do it. I just feel bad for all the development time they put into having the cameras do it. Or maybe they'll work together. That would probably be ideal if they communicate. The second point you brought is I have heard stories, and it's from Reddit comments. So it's people just looking to complain about being forced to come back to the office and then told to go back to their desks to get on Zoom so that they can share screen during a meeting, and no one's in the meeting room. Everyone's at their desks, and they could have been at home. Anecdotal. I think it's actually happened though. But one thing that I've been, and you basically said this, I want to get this on a t-shirt. I wish I knew who I stole this from, because I don't think I invented this. I saw it somewhere else, but the expression "earn my commute." You got to earn my commute. You can't just say, "Hey, we have a return to the office policy because the boss wants it." No, I've learned to be super productive at home. And yeah, I'll come into the office if there's a good reason. If you tell me my entire team's going to be there on Wednesday, heck yeah. If I'm going to be in the same, as much as I love video, I'm going to be in the same room with my entire team, heck yeah, I'm on my way in. If you're giving us free pizza and there's a ping pong table, I'll complain a little less, but that doesn't earn my commute. It helps a little.
And of course,
it's mostly the people.
Earn my commute, but you've also got to earn the trust of your boss. Those two go hand in hand, and to earn the autonomy to work where you feel that you can deliver your best work. And it's not going to be a 2-hour commute into London, sit at a desk, a hot desk, and then sit on Zoom, WebEx or Teams calls all day long, I don't think.
But to tie it back into this, I think a lot of it ties into improving the meeting room experience. I'm not going to commute in to be less effective in a meeting. If I'm here, look how effective we are. We got whatever we want behind us. We're sitting together. This is great. If we were in an actual meeting room, we'd be less effective, which is so weird. So until we figure that out, to have everyone sitting at the table, sometimes we have how many seats we have? We have like 20 people in here. All of them have to be on chat. All of them have to have access to their files. Does everyone need a laptop in front of them? I don't know. But right now I know that the meeting room experience needs to improve. And this intelligent framing is a big part of it, to convince me that I'm better off coming into work today than staying home. Another new Teams announcement is they've updated or they've added features, or they've improved their front row feature, which is basically what we're doing here. And I'm totally embarrassed. It's bugging the heck out of me. This is the first one we've done in a couple weeks. I might have messed around with some settings. I have a little gap under Tim. Look at this. This looks so weird. You could see like there's a little gap between Tim and the table where my hand is. No one would have noticed if I didn't say anything. It's bothering me, but we'll fix that. But we've been doing this for years. And, obviously Microsoft Teams at some point was watching this podcast and said, wow, we have to create a feature called front row. and put it into Teams, because this is such an amazing experience what David and Tim do here. And you're welcome, obviously. I mean, we appreciate, we appreciate the attention. But jokes aside, it is a cool feature, and it is tricky to do. I had to learn to use this OBS software, and I make mistakes, as I'm going to beat myself up about this. It isn't trivial that they did it, and I think they're not getting enough credit for it because it's weird and it's different and it's not great. It looks a little cartoony, but they'll get it right. They get it on the right track. Someone said that sometimes when I have people sitting here, we look like we're Simpson or South Park cutouts, the little cutouts that you pop in on that cartoon. I think of that as lighting. This is actually pretty good, but sometimes if someone's really bright and really dark, it looks really weird. I think they're working on evening out that. They're working on getting the sizes right. When Front Row first came out, yeah, it looked very South Park, because some people would have huge heads like this, and some people would be tiny. And they're using AI now, which I don't have. We have to do it manually to even out the heads. So maybe I'm making too big a deal of it, but I like the Front Row.
Yeah, we saw that in Together mode. That's something that I've at Omdia and Informa, we use Teams. We're a Teams customer. I haven't seen anyone use Together mode, which is this sort of capability as well. So I've seen no one do that. And of course, with Together mode, you don't get the lovely presentation at the back either. It's just talking heads in a Star Trek holodeck. I guess that's fun and funky for Gen Z, as are Maybelline filters for Teams as well, which is my big gripe. But my word, let's get the basics sorted out. Let's do something where we feel that you're adding to the experience and not detracting with avatars and Maybelline filters and other, Star Trek holograms let's get the basics sorted, which is good, well framed video, well lit, and decent audio. Let's get that sorted before we go into the realms of fun and funky stuff that I feel don't really add anything to the business experience.
Yeah, if we're gonna fix what's wrong before looking to make improvements, the meeting room is where I want the attention.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they're working so hard, and I don't want to make it sound like they don't get it. They get it. It's just a really hard problem to solve. I don't have the answers. But I do like these extras, especially since when I have people on the show, I see the effect. We're always looking over at each other. It does feel. When I saw you at Perspectives, it didn't feel like I hadn't seen you in a year.
Yeah.
And I feel it's because I'm always seeing myself sitting next to you. So I'm a fan of it, but I agree that it shouldn't be the highest priority. I think that's it for the Microsoft announcements. Let's move on. We had a couple Zoom events announcements, which I think we're both particularly excited about. The first one is their production studio, which we've been talking about, is now available. I think as of like today or yesterday, like really recently. Do you want to you explained the production studio really well last time, I thought so.
Yeah, I look at it very much like those Microsoft PowerPoint templates that you have, where you can click and drag video streams and content into different overlays. So if we want a 2-shot frame or a 3-shot frame with content, we can just drag those feeds in and click a button and you can stream it. So you can do that very quick, direct to cut, different camera views, different angles, different feeds, different content, all very quickly without resorting to physical buttons like Stream Deck, or the complexities of trying to arrange everything on the fly. And I think it makes it really interesting, exciting for viewers. You don't just want to have different displays. I noticed, David, every now and then you've got the content changing in the background, or you're going in and out of the room and zooming on us.
Got to show off our penthouse suite. I'm paying $100,000 a month to rent out this. This is the 72nd floor, the tallest skyscraper in Miami. So we got to show it off.
Thank you for flying me out here in business class. That was really great. So all of that sort of capability will be coming to many different platforms. But I think Production Studio is an example of how easy it is to produce this really great content. And of course, there's only a small subsection of businesses that are consolidating on a single platform. And things like events and Workvivo and other things that Zoom are doing make it really attractive as a land and expand strategy. If your dominant, if your dominant platform is Microsoft Teams. So Zoom has got a seat at the table in events. It has got a seat at the table with potentially Workvivo and other sort of capabilities. The trouble is so many vendors think it's a platform versus platform battle out there. And IT departments don't want to have multiple platforms. They want to have one platform, but they're quite happy to support different use cases. So, if marketing and sales are looking at a webinar event or a webinar capability or an event platform, it might be that Microsoft isn't the best opportunity for that. Microsoft don't, as of yet, provide a contact center capability. So that might be a land and expand strategy for vendors in that space. So there's lots of room for vendors to have different insertion points into an enterprise. But I don't think platform versus platform is the battle to have. Not unless Zoom acquire a company that can do the equivalent of Excel, PowerPoint, and Word, or they acquire Dropbox or something like that for file storage, so they can compete against OneDrive. So I think it's an interesting thought, and I think this is a clear area of differentiation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I want to dig more into the platform discussion, but first I want to wrap up the events thing. Just for anyone who needs kind of a visual thing of what is this production studio is. So a normal Zoom webinar, it looks like Zoom with the boxes. What I do here looks like whatever we want, with literally just whatever you imagine. I can have us flying on dragons. Somewhere in between, you've seen webinars that have a medium level of production, where when there's one person talking, you just see one person. And when there's three people, you might see one person in a big vertical and two people, in boxes. And it's like, oh, how are they changing the shapes of the Zoom boxes to make it look interesting? That's kind of what this production studio does. The templates that Tim was talking about, you could set up 3 or 4 templates. So like a 1-person, a 4-person, a 4-person with one big. You put your background on, so the gaps between, between the frames. And then it looks like that medium level of production. And we're all sitting in so many webinars all day. That makes such a difference. It's not just, oh, that's nice. It's more watchable. It's a little more dynamic when it switches between the templates. It's just nothing against a vanilla Zoom webinar or vanilla Microsoft Teams webinar. But I think the production studio is something to be excited about. And
you
they
can
had
brand it as well, I believe, David, as well.
Yes.
So you can have it in your corporate colors, corporate logos, all of that stuff makes it more personal to your brand as opposed to
the framing, the background.
Generic Zoom. Yeah.
The other announcement that they did is that the Zoom Events is now available on mobile. And that's crucial because Zoom Events is supposed to be a hybrid event platform. It's not just to put your webinars online, it's to support physical events. They use it for Zoom Perspectives. They use it for Zoomtopia. I would really expect to start seeing it used for like Enterprise Connect and Infocom and events like those in our industry, because it does a great job of connecting the people who are there with the people who aren't there. That's what we're not seeing from typical hybrid. Typical hybrid events are stream the sessions. Now it's a hybrid event. I feel no connection. When you're in a Zoom event, you share the same chat. So when I was at Zoom Perspectives, everyone was on their laptops and we're talking to our friends and analysts who weren't there. Rupam wasn't there. We're all talking to Rupam, right? She's in chat with us. Elka wasn't there. But they're in chat with us. But I don't have a laptop. I didn't bring my laptop. I was on my phone. So I'm a little confused because I somehow got into the webinar on my phone and was connected to chat. Maybe they had an early version of this was available or something just for us.
Well, that was, if you remember, David, that was the QR code that we had printed out and also came up on the slides. You could just do the QR code and you could ask Q&A and chat on there, which was absolutely superb. And it's interesting because Cisco acquired Slido and Socio, and hopefully at the top of the hour, I think when we got our Cisco analyst briefing, they mentioned a bit more around that. But I think they could build a bit more marketing impetus on those sorts of capabilities. But you sort of look at that and think that there's a distinct advantage in the marketplace that Zoom have at the moment. And I would like to see Cisco and others stepping up to the mark. Microsoft have the capabilities to do poll forms. They also have live events, but I don't think they've given it as much thought in terms of productizing it and making it easy to use. So I have a feeling this is a topic that's only going to get better. And of course, the pandemic was one macroeconomic factor that drove this, but now I understand that SEC filings also have to report on greenhouse gas emissions.
Oh.
And there's an EU directive that's looking at impact sustainability. That's going to make its way into annual reports. So you may find that you have a carbon footprint budget per employee, and that hybrid events is a way of reducing that. There's all sorts of things there.
I'm also very hot on events.
Yeah.
I think this could be a leading product for Zoom, and maybe not as big as Zoom Meetings. Zoom Meetings is going to be their flagship forever. But when I first heard about Zoom events, I'm like, this has massive potential, because during the pandemic, I was producing people. Oh, your company's called Let's Do Video. You do live events. Of course we do. I was producing a lot of virtual events using the solutions that existed before Zoom events, and they just weren't. Basically, there were a lot of products that were designed to sell tickets to physical events. And at the pandemic, they wrapped themselves around and said, now we're virtual event platforms. You buy your ticket here for the online event. And they added video. The video didn't work. The workflow was hard. The registration engines were complicated. It was, I'm not going to name any of them, but they were really hard to use. And when Zoom events came out, it was Zoomified. Zoom stuff's always easy to use and figure out. I'm like, oh, this is what I need. So I've always been excited about it. I think it could be a big thing. Now, to be fair,
have to ask for sponsorship, David. We're going to have to ask for sponsorship from the vendors to sort of have a event versus event bake-off. I think that'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
I've been doing little private bake-offs, and I've done a couple of videos, like walkthroughs, unboxings, but there's nothing to unbox on Zoom events, and they're among my most popular videos. Just organic traffic on YouTube. People, not that I put it out there on Twitter and LinkedIn and shared it. I just made the videos and tens of thousands of views. That means people are interested in the concept of Zoom events. And to be fair to Microsoft and Cisco, they've spent a lot of money and put a lot of attention. They're not ignoring this. They get it. They're aware of it. But I do think that they're a little behind. I think it's kind of analogous to Zoom meetings. I still think Zoom meetings are a little bit better, but they're catching up quickly.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of it is not understanding where they're differentiated. We speak to vendors, customers, channel partners, etc. I think we get an understanding as to, there's a gut feel that we have around certain areas of the platform that we feel is differentiated. And it might just be that people haven't woken up to the fact that this is a hot topic. Maybe they will do. But I don't think, going back to that platform versus platform discussion, I don't think that's where the battle is going to be won. I think it will be with these carving out niche sort of areas and workloads that appeal to certain departments and people.
Yeah, let's bring back the Let's Do Video websites. It's good because this isn't a Zoom discussion anymore. This is a platform discussion, and the vendors have been really pushing us at these analyst briefings on platform. There's definitely rumors of Zoom doing some sort of productivity suite. There might be a Zoom Word and there might be a Zoom Excel at some point. They've already have email and calendar. Microsoft has everything. Cisco is matching. There's a Zoom events. Well, we have a Cisco events. Let's buy Slido. I think the fear is, or the driver is, and I have heard about this happening anecdotally, is the boss says to the person in head of IT, hey, why do we have Teams and Zoom? Oh, well, we got Zoom during the pandemic. Everyone loves it. And we got Teams because it comes with Office 365. And the boss says, do we need both? Well, we don't need both. Okay, pick one. And Microsoft and Zoom and Cisco want to be the one, and RingCentral want to be the one that gets picked. I've heard about this happening anecdotally enough. Enough people, IT managers at trade shows, friends, from just, who work at IT departments at big companies have said, yeah, that happened. We chose one. So when I went to Zoom Perspective, I was like, oh, this is the big topic of discussion. And then I heard, and you have your own statistics, I thought I heard someone say that like 3 to 5%. And your number was 11% of companies say, nope, we only use one. Whether it's 11 or it's 5, it's a low percentage that are only using one. It's not the problem that I thought it was. It's not a platform play. It's not we're just going to use one platform. People are using multiples. They're using Zoom events for events. They like event, Team for chat because they like chat, Cisco for network. I mean, whatever. So
yeah, I mean, at Omdia, we've done our IT Enterprise Insights survey, a global survey that goes out to thousands of IT buyers, and I'll make sure that we've got those statistics for a subsequent stream. But there are people out there that have between 6 and 10 platforms. Can you imagine what that's like, and why? Clearly, because they got different use cases for different. You know, I can't believe. I know that I have Disney, Paramount, Netflix subscriptions, but there'll be times if money's tight that I will only have it for a month. But locking people into a 5-year subscription plan or an annual subscription plan just for a specific use case doesn't make sense to me. So I'm sure that the 6 to 10 sort of different UC platforms will decline year over year, but there will still be specific use cases that require multiple solutions. But it's not going to be 6 platforms. I don't want to administer and manage 6 platforms.
Now, do you have any fear, or maybe not fear, but just anticipate that 11% is going to go? I mean, is that going to become 50%? Because if it does, then it is a platform world. If it's going to stay at 11%, I mean, are we saying, hey, vendors, you're all wrong? You're all wrong. All this time talking about platform, you should just be talking about your best products. Instead of saying use Zoom for everything, talk about how Zoom Events is amazing. Instead of saying Teams for everything, talk about how your chat is so great and Excel is so great. Or are they right and it just hasn't happened yet? Is that 11% about to explode?
Yeah, I guess we're going to have to look at the historical trend. But, at the moment, platform versus platform is not good. It's not good for the market either. There will be consolidation. You can't have 8 different vendors offering 8 different platforms in the hope that someone will kick out Microsoft or kick out Zoom or kick out Cisco so that you can grow. It's not sustainable. So I think there's going to be a shakeup in the industry. And the way around it is to establish a beachhead segment in an unserved area of the business and grow from there. It's not my platform's better than your platform, and it's because I've got Maybelline filters or because it's got this, that, or the other. That it's not going to be one on features. It's going to be one on business value and use cases.
I think use cases is the big one. There's a lot of organizations that, they have Zoom now, they have Teams now, but a lot of them are still using Slack because they got hooked on it, and those teams that are in it have all their stuff in it, and it's hard to get people to switch off of it, and that's fine.
And there'll be people that will be trialing Notion and other sort of productivity platforms that are asynchronous and not necessarily, it's not all about meetings. It's not all about voice. It's no good trying to establish a meeting in a global company if you've got to look at, what's going on in Europe. You've got a colleague in the US and someone else in Australia. Trying to find a mutual time to meet is not going to work. But those asynchronous tools are going to also have a place in this market. So it's not a zero-sum game, I think, is where I'm coming from. Yeah,
and I honestly, I don't like the idea of it. It should be what I like. It should be what's real. But I don't like the idea of it being, at the end of the day, everyone's going to choose one platform. Because if that was the rule, it would be Microsoft. And I don't want everyone to have to use Microsoft. Not that I think it's bad. They've actually done a really good job with Microsoft Teams. But I like competition. I like different products being better for different use cases. And the Microsoft Teams suite isn't the best at everything. You might think their chat is the best. Some people might think their chat's not the best. Maybe their webinars aren't as good. Other webinars are pretty good. But you know what I'm saying? Well, with all the things they do, they're not the best at everything. And I don't want everyone to have to use them. And there's no way that people are going to
allow it either, David. The Monopolies Commission will not allow that either. So you've got to be careful with being the dominant platform player here. The EU's not going to.
But the reality is they kind of got away with it. They sort of have a monopoly because we're all using Windows, or unless you're on Apple, and there's not a lot of people using, and there's Linux, right? But I'm not, come on. We're using Windows. We're all using Windows, and automatically MS Teams is, it's right there. So if I can't imagine it's going to be hard to not. It's hard to not use Microsoft. That's the thing. If I said, okay, you know, I'm going to go with this platform thing, I'm going to choose the WebEx platform. I'm still going to have some Microsoft. You know, unless Cisco has an operating system, which they don't. So yeah, it can't be. It's going to have to be Microsoft and. You know, I'm always going to have some Microsoft. Teams is going to be on my system. I could probably delete it if I tried actively to delete it. But I don't even know if I could. I think Teams is just part of my computer now. So it's not Microsoft or, it's Microsoft and I think you're right. The way to get in there, and part of it might be this platform play to say, look, you know, you can use Zoom for a lot of stuff. You can use Cisco for a lot of stuff. But also what you said is, we're really good at this one use case. You're going to, you know, Zoom events or whatever. If you're doing events, you need us for that. And that gets them in.
Yeah. And of course, you know, people that we haven't mentioned are Google. So let's watch this space with Google and see what they have to bring to the frame, because, you know, there's still people out there that use Google, a lot of small businesses and education and specific verticals, but it's been pretty quiet so far. So looking forward to see what announcements they've got down the road.
It seems like they're definitely positioning, and I wrote an article about this for the Mio blog. I should put a link to it, about the history of Google Chat and all the iterations it went through. And at its current iteration, it's you know, it's a mirror of what Microsoft Teams and Zoom and WebEx are. It's trying to be, you know, instead of the 3, the discussion is trying to make the discussion about the 4. It's positioned, and it has the money to do so. But Google has a way of creating products and then not, you know, giving them the love they need to continue. And I heard this rumor. Maybe I should make rumors about Google. Well, if someone from Google wants to come on and join us on the show and correct us, Google developers get rewarded, and this is a rumor, read it somewhere, but for getting new products to go live. That's how you get more accolades at Google. That's how you get on better products, better projects. And there isn't as much of a reward for adding new features and updating. So the great minds at Google release something new, Google Chat, Google, all the versions of Google Chat, and then they move on to something else. If that's true, it's going to be hard for the Google suite to compete.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, covered a lot there, David.
Yeah, this is a good show. Oh, one other thing I want to say, in this rotation, you'll see here our friend Dominic wrote a guest blog. There he is, for Let's Do Video. Please go to letsdovideo.com and check that out. And we all know that Dominic is the master of SEO and getting to the top of Google. And he reached out to me, and apparently his magic Google math determined that having this particular article on my website on Let's Do Video is good for its SEO and good for its Google ranking. So I just want to say to my other influencers and freelancers and friends, if you'd like to put up a guest piece on Let's Do Video, you know where to find me. And thank you, Dominic. All right. With that, let's wrap this up. This has been a great show. Thanks for everyone for watching, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks for being here, Tim. This is great.
Thanks, David.